Yep, we're taking a live look in Washington, D.C. at the White House, where later today, President Donald Trump will host Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy. This morning, we want to bring in Scripps News Group's Serena Marshall live in D.C. Serena, let's talk about today's meeting, possibly deciding the future of Ukraine's fight against Russia just after that 3-year anniversary of the war breaking out.
Yeah, Anthony, and to say that this really could determine the fate of not just that war, but Ukraine's future in all is really not an understatement. And that's because Ukraine has been trying to, not just Ukraine, I should say, Europe has been trying to persuade the president to give some security guarantees in their fight against Russia. You had the head of France, the head of the UK, all in Washington this week. Now Zelenskyy here, really to try and push the president to ensure that they have their support, their military support, in order to continue the fight against Russia and to ensure that they don't give security or give in to Putin when it comes to getting the ceasefire deal, that they don't end up giving a deal that would end up benefiting Putin for his aggression in some way. Now, earlier yesterday with the UK Prime Minister, the president was asked about his comments on Zelenskyy earlier this week, whether or not he still believes he's a dictator, if he'll apologize to Zelenskyy for calling him a dictator, for saying that he was the reason Russia invaded. He said he didn't remember saying that. Really a softening tone from President Trump ahead of this meeting, and that's because he wants to get this critical minerals deal signed as a benefit to the U.S. He says it's Ukraine's way of kind of paying the U.S. back for military support, that it could bring in $500 billion to the U.S. Keep in mind, the U.S. has provided just over $100 billion to Ukraine in military support. And Zelenskyy is hoping also to get that signed with those military guarantees. Now, on a separate issue of whether or not Ukraine can still be welcomed into the NATO fold, here's what he said about that.
Well, I could be very nice and say, oh, well, we'll work to it. Look, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. That's what started this whole thing. Biden said that, and all of a sudden the gun started. That was one of the primary reasons this started. And this was long before President Putin. They never said it was an impossibility. So we can say, oh, gee, well, we'll try. But that's something that's just not going to happen. And then the other question you asked is about the land. Will you give your land back?
Now, keep in mind that that Russia did invade Crimea in 2014 and took over that area. But part of this deal, this critical earth, these critical minerals, are things like our phones, technology, green energy. There are lithium-ion batteries. Those are those critical minerals. And right now, the United States imports most of them from China. So the president trying to get this deal signed, Ukraine trying to get some of those security guarantees. There aren't a whole lot of details about what is in this deal. It sounds like, according to some reports, that it would include U.S. companies helping in the mining and some kind of a split in those minerals. But exactly what would be agreed to, I think still a senior official told us yesterday that they're at the 10-yard line, just about to get over the finish line. We'll find out more later this morning, Anthony. The Ukrainian president arriving at 11.
All right, thanks so much, Serena. There's so many different facets and layers to this developing story. Appreciate you keeping an eye on all of that for us.